Welcome to Out of the Closet into the World, a podcast dedicated to celebrating authenticity, embracing our true selves, and creating a world where love and inclusivity truly shines. I'm your host, Ada Arencibia, and each month we'll bring you powerful stories, inspiring interviews, and real conversations that lift up the LGBTQ plus community and their allies. Whether you are in your own journey of self discovery, standing up for equality, or simply looking to learn and grow, this space is for you. Together, we'll break down barriers, challenge misconceptions, and share the strength in our stories. So, wherever you are, whatever your truth may be, step into the world with us. Let's embrace who we are and make a difference, one voice at a time. Let's dive in. From growing up in a Catholic home to becoming a talented singer and now a caring dentist, Dr. Michael Toledo's story is truly inspiring. But what if I told you that behind his brightest smiles were some of his toughest struggles? Today, on Out of the Closet into the World, we are diving into his incredible journey, one of love, resilience, and staying true to himself. Michael Toledo is a man of many talents. He's not just a skilled dentist, but also a performer with a heart full of passion. From his childhood in Jacksonville, Florida, to his journey of self discovery, Michael has a story that will leave you inspired. He's here today to share his journey from growing up in a loving family, overcoming challenges, and carving his own path in his life. This is a story that will move you, challenge you, and leave you feeling inspired. Let's tune in. Welcome to Out of the Closet into the World, the podcast where we'll break down walls, lift up voices, and celebrate the strength of being your true self. I'm your host, Ada Arencibia. We will hear inspiring stories of people who have faced challenges and embrace who they really are. Join me on this journey of honesty, empowerment, and change. Together, let's step out of the closet and into the world. Let's dive in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, no more waiting. Michael, thank you so much for being here on the show today. How are you doing?
Thank you, Ada, for having me on the show. Again, you guys don't know, but we had a wonderful conversation right before this, just because I think we connect so much on a deeper level that people don't understand. And I'm just having the time of my life right now. It's super early in the morning. We're going to do this for you guys. I'm so excited to share my story. Again, thank you so much for this opportunity. I have not been asked, I don't think ever in my life, really, to share my story. And I'm a little bit nervous. It's a good nervous. And I think that's okay because we're going to get the raw me, the raw story. And hopefully this can inspire some of you guys outside there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And on in the green room, you mentioned something that really resonated with me. Learning how to be comfortable while you're being uncomfortable at the same time. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So just like this, I've never had been asked to actually tell my coming out story, but just in anything in life, whether it be your studies, your academics, or relationship, whether it be romantic, work related, or acquaintanceship, like you have to put yourself in appropriate situations that will push you just a little bit because you're never going to learn if you're always comfortable. You have to put yourself out there. There's a phrase that always says, you put yourself out there, put yourself out there. But the reason for that is because you come out better, bigger, brighter, smarter on the other side. And
Mm,
I just think that there's so many opportunities in life, even on a daily basis, where you can put yourself in the smallest uncomfortable position to become a better version of yourself. Like at the grocery store, if you are nervous in an aisle, sometimes I'm nervous to ask the cashier or the worker to open up this case for me now because that's our lives nowadays. And
yeah.
now just to be like, hey, can you open up this case for me? I know I'm probably the 20th person to ask you this today, but you're doing a great job. And then now I don't feel as uncomfortable. And I also probably made that person feel a lot better about their job and a lot more confident, like as if they have like to feel like they have a purpose in their job as opposed to being the person who opens the case, because we're grateful for those people as well.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. Michael, your story is truly inspiring, and I can't wait to hear more about your journey. Let's start at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about your childhood and how it shaped who you are today.
So I am one of three children. I am the middle child, and I love it. I was the firstborn American in the family. My brother was born in the Philippines. Both of my parents are Filipino. I grew up Catholic, still consider myself Catholic, and I've just always been a outgoing person who was a little shy on the inside. But again, I also think that being outgoing has forced me or put me into positions where I have learned a lot. I always wanted to do multiple activities when I was a kid. I wanted to do karate. I wanted to sing. I wanted to play football, do art. And my parents have always supported me in anything that I did. They never were really like, oh, you want to do that? You want to do that? And money was never an issue because we didn't have to use money. They always found things around the house to help me with my dreams or my interests at the time.
Yeah.
They would give you a tiny little microphone, which was a hairbrush, and then put it on the music, and I would pretend I was Michael Jackson one day and then Celine Dion the next day. And then, we just got like a random football that it wasn't even a brand name. I remember we got it from a thrift store, and that really taught me to appreciate my parents and the way they brought me up, because I think when we're brought up, especially in the current age in this world, you always think about what people are thinking about you, or at least
Mm,
that's what I felt like.
yeah.
And my parents have taught me it's really not about the outside world. It's about being in your situation and making the best of it. But I've always had a wonderful upbringing. My parents have always loved me. They always knew I was gay, but it was always that big elephant in the room. And
Mm,
we'll get to it later when we actually get into my story. But of course, it was a little difficult for them when I came out, but they've always accepted me. And
mm.
when I was younger, I always was afraid to come out. I thought they were just going to tolerate it. And, all things considered, I'm really blessed and really grateful that they've accepted me and loved me and supported me through it all.
That's so beautiful. It really does sounds like your family laid a very strong foundation of love and acceptance, right? Were there
Yes.
any defining moments from your childhood that shaped who you are today?
Well, I think a big part of my childhood and who I am today was my grandparents. My grandparents always knew I was gay, but they always told me that they weren't going to tell my parents. I don't think that's true, though. I think they told me that so I can gain confidence. And I think when I actually came out to my parents, they were prepared because they had all these years. It took me about 20 years to come out to them.
Mm,
Um, but one of the big defining features in my coming out story, it's in the middle of it, but I think it's one of the biggest defining features, is when I actually went to talk to one of the Catholic heads. It wasn't a priest; it was a deacon, and this deacon had told me, because I was crying in his office. I said, "I think I'm going to go to hell. I'm a sinner. I'm not a good person. It doesn't matter how much good I do in this world. I'm gay." And he looked at me and he smiled, and he kind of chuckled, but in an endearing way. And he basically said, "Michael, you're focusing on the wrong things. You just be a good person and you're going to be okay." Why the Catholic Church is against homosexuality is
mm.
because of the sex actions that you're having without any marriage being involved. And then he looked at me straight in the eyeballs and he said, "But what do you think these married couples are doing with contraception? What do you think these straight couples are doing who aren't married and they're having sex?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing." So he basically said, "You're in the same boat as everybody else. Just do what you need to do, be a good person." And I was like, "Why am I crying?" And he's like laughing and like smiling about this. He actually said being gay is a gift because you get to see the world in a different lens, in a different set of eyes. And ever since that day, I've always thought that being gay is a blessing. It's not a handicap, it's a blessing. Of course we have hardships, we have struggles, but it is a blessing. It's made me see so many situations in a brighter light, in a different light.
That is so beautiful, Michael. How did your family's dynamic influence your understanding of identity and relationships?
Well, my parents have always told me it doesn't matter how much money you have, it
Hmm.
doesn't matter what your degree is, it matters about how you treat people. I never saw color until maybe I was 12 or 13 because of the world allowing me to see color. And I've always looked for the good in people because when I was younger and I would, unfortunately gossip as kids do or just say what they need to say because they feel the urge to talk about the person next to them, my mom would look at me, and that one look says, you're going to get it. Don't
Mm.
say anything that's rude. That's just not godlike. And that's not nice. And so I think my parents telling me to be a good person always, no matter who I'm around, was really the key in making my heart grow bigger and bigger every single day.
Mm. And I can definitely relate with that statement because coming from a Cuban Latin background family, right? I know exactly what that look was because my mom would do the same thing to me and my brother. Michael, can you share with our amazing audience the story of your first boyfriend and your coming out story?
Oh man, this was so long ago. Okay, so my first boyfriend was in college. And at the time, I really didn't have self-worth, confidence. And I told myself, you know, these men out here, maybe I should date somebody older because they're going to be much more mature.
Mm.
And my first boyfriend was 16 years older than I was.
Wow.
And he taught me a lot. May his soul rest in peace as well, because unfortunately he has passed last year. He had a big heart, but he also had those wandering eyes and hands that wanted to touch anything that moved. He did cheat on me a lot, and at the time I accepted it, and I would cry for days and days and days and forgive him because again I didn't have any self-worth, confidence. I thought I couldn't do better. I thought I probably didn't deserve better, and as long as I love this person, he's gonna love me back, and eventually he's gonna change.
Yeah.
So at the end of it all, I was really hurt, but I learned a lot because I learned that love is not about just accepting somebody and making him happy. Love is a two-way street, not a one-way street. And love has to be filled with respect, communication, and just a bond that you can't explain. So it's more than just loving somebody, it's more about the deep emotions that you have and the way that you guys are going to move forward with your goals in life and supporting each other through it.
Mm. That's right. That's right. Now, walk us through your coming out journey when you first, told mom and dad that you were dating a male back in college, or how did they react when you shared with them that you was gay?
So actually, and I don't recommend this to anybody out there, but I came out to my parents officially because I was dating the man that I was dating in college. And I did it because I felt pressured to do so because this man didn't think I loved him enough if I couldn't tell my parents.
Mm.
And I don't think I've ever told this story out loud. Um, but as soon as they said, Mom and Dad, I'm gay, and I knew they knew already, my dad just closed his eyes and collapsed. He said, No, no, no. I still love you. I still love you. But I don't want your life to be hard. And he kept crying and crying and crying. And my mom was hugging me and my dad at the same time. She was a little bit silent, but I could feel that she said, I've accepted you already, son. I love you. I never thought for a moment that they looked at me differently. I just knew that by me coming out to them, they knew that the rest of my life is going to be a little bit harder because if I can come out to them, I probably can come out to the world now. And they
Mm.
just wanted to protect me. They just wanted to make sure that I was safe, that I was never in danger. And even though in the Philippines, where of course my parents are from, transgender
Yeah.
transgender individuals and LGBTQ plus communities are big, there's still a lot of violence toward them.
Absolutely.
So I think from their past experiences, they just saw flashes because they couldn't look me in the eye. I just kept thinking that they were seeing flashes of me getting hurt and bullied, and abused. And everything else after that, after I told them, was kind of a blur.
Mm.
I don't even remember the next 2 weeks after that. I just remember feeling a little bit guilty and a little bit sad that I had told my parents, but I remember feeling loved and accepted and happy that I finally did tell them because the weight finally was lifted off my shoulders.
Yeah.
And looking back, I'm like, did I actually have to come out to them because they already knew? You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, your journey really sounds so empowering. What was your coming out experience like, and what advice would you give to someone who's navigating their own?
So my coming out experience with the rest of the world, it had its ups and downs,
Yeah.
but fortunately, I was very blessed to have a smooth coming out story. And I think this is the main reason why. When I was younger, my voice was actually a lot lower. My voice got higher and higher as I aged. And that was number one. But really, number two, or really number one, is the fact that I never made my sexuality my identity. Let me explain that. I was just a guy who went to Catholic school. I played football. I was in the choir. I did art. I did the academic teams, math, science academic teams. And I just happened to be gay. And then in my upbringing, in my Catholic school, because I went from kindergarten all the way to senior year high school, I grew up with the same people. So they knew me as a person first before they knew me as a gay person.
Mm.
And I think that's what made my transition a little bit smoother. So my advice to people trying to come out is to surround yourself with people who love you. And I know that's said so many times, but it truly is one of the most important things. Because if they love you first and foremost, when you come out to them, or if you give them little bits and pieces of your sexuality, spoken or not spoken, it's not going to be too much of a setback for them. They're going to be like, oh no, I already know Michael. I already know James or Jack or Sam or whoever it is. This is just another quality of them.
Yeah, I call it my army. You have to make sure you have a strong army behind you, right?
Yes, exactly.
Now,
Exactly.
now, Michael, let's talk a little bit about your college years. How did those years shape your identity and goals in life?
So let me first start with what I actually learned. What I actually learned was enjoy the calm, enjoy the silence. Don't look back and think that everything was a blur, because that's what college was for me. It
Mm.
was a rat race. It was how many classes can I take at once so I can finally become a dentist and become financially independent. And I don't remember much of college, but I do remember much of dental school. It was right after college. Most dentists that I know had at least 2 or 3 gap years, and I went straight from graduating dental school, moving to Chicago within 2 weeks, and then starting dental school. And I became president of my class in dental school,
Hmm.
and that's when I realized, whoa, how did I get here? Like, I just blinked and somehow I'm president of a class. Am I even qualified to be the president of a class? So I stopped, I reflected, and that's when I learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about my resilience, but I also learned a lot about how I was neglecting myself because I was putting academics first. I was putting other people first. I wanted people to say, oh, he's successful. He put in the hard work. When really, I was suffering on the inside. I never had any me time. And dentists at one point had the highest suicide rate. And then so for our first town hall in dental school, I actually looked at the class and I said, and I live on campus. My room is, I believe it was 334 at the time. Please knock on my door at any time. I'm up until 1 a.m. talking to my parents. And little did I know that people would actually knock on my door, especially that first year. I would say twice a month, somebody would knock on my door crying, saying, how are
Mm.
you so happy? How are you not depressed? How are you not wanting to quit school?
Yeah,
And I
like
would
what,
bring them in.
what's keeping you motivated?
Exactly, exactly. And I brought them to my room. And I said, you know what? I have this smile on my face, but you never know what's going on behind closed doors. Never compare your life to anybody else because look, and I would bring up my antidepressant, antidepressants, all three of them. I would say, would you ever think that a person like me would be taking three antidepressants? And they were like, what? You're on antidepressants? And I said, yes, I am.
Wow.
So again, my entire college and dental school experience was, of course, live for yourself, live in an environment that is conducive to making you successful,
Hmm.
both academically and emotionally, but also to stop and smell the roses. Because if you're always looking at the end of the sidewalk, you're never going to see the roses on the side.
I love that. I love that. Now, Michael, you have an amazing voice and a rich musical background. Tell us about your journey with singing and performing.
So I came from a family who loves to sing and dance. In the Philippines, great. Thankfully, they thought I was cute enough to put me on TV. So I did a few of the variety shows there. But if anybody knows any Filipino, singing is a sport for us because again, we didn't have a lot of money in the Philippines. Nobody does. It's a third
Mm,
world country, and you have to make the best of your situation. And
right.
singing is one of our big things that we do. So I was on a few variety shows. I think mostly because I could dance, not because I could sing the best. Because the Filipino singers, I can't even touch them. You know, I love to sing, but dancing, I think, was my main characteristic that people liked about me. And I still perform to this day, not as much as I'd like to. But when the Filipino celebrities come to America and they do their tours, my band will open up for them. My band, Some Stage Drive. Sometimes I'll do a solo performance in front of them. I did American Idol when it was still not at its peak, but it was still relevant. I know that they're still doing episodes now, but it was still relevant. YouTube really wasn't out. It was season 16.
Mm,
I politely bowed out when I made top 10 in New Orleans because sometimes these TV shows, it's a TV show before it's a talent show,
yeah.
and they wanted to make me be this person that I wasn't. They wanted me to be the ditzy kind of person who wasn't smart but can sing these pop songs and be a little ditzy. It was fun. I learned a lot. Again, just because there's an opportunity and you want to do it doesn't mean you should do it. And when I was in dental school, I performed as one of the main 22 performers who did a lot of the shows, the magic shows, and the dancing shows, and the singing shows. It was just really, really fun. And that was my outlet when I was in dental school, just performing, singing, letting out all the energy, letting out all the stress.
Mm. Now, Michael, what led you to your decision to step back from singing, and how has it influenced your path?
So I always said I'm going to make people smile, whether it be me on stage or whether it be me being a dentist. And then so when it came time for me to graduate and hang up the singing gigs, I said, I'm never going to leave singing. It's just going to be in the side right there when I need and want to actually grab it and pick up that hat again.
Yeah.
But I knew that there was a bigger purpose in my life and there was a niche for dentists who were actually happy and made you comfortable in the office. So I said that's going to be one of my marks on this world. Having patients come to me, not be nervous to get an injection, not to be nervous to have me diagnose another extraction or a cavity, but rather coming for the acceptance and the welcomeness that I can provide at my office. And I think I've done a really good job with that, but I owe it all really to my upbringing and my staff because without either, I really wouldn't have the positive outlook that I have today.
Mm, I love that. And ladies and gentlemen, he is correct. He is my official dentist. And every time I have come for an appointment, he is always the life of the party in that office. So you are correct about that. Michael,
If you
what
notice,
is,
I do sing down the hallways, up and
yes, you
down. I
do.
don't care what's playing.
Yes, yes, you do. Michael, what inspired you to pursue dentistry as a career, and how does it reflect your personal values?
So I come from a background of doctors and nurses. My father is a PCP, and so is my brother. And I always wanted to be a doctor, but I didn't want to just be a doctor. I wanted to actually utilize my love of art and artistry and talking
Yeah.
while I was working. Because a lot of the, like right now, I did my own veneers, but they were all chair side. And it was during dental school because I have spaces in between each tooth. And to actually craft it and when you do makeup or when you do your hair, the smallest little tweak can make a really big difference.
That's right.
So I've always wanted to combine my artistry and my doctor side together into one. Also, I have this personality trait where if I see somebody suffering or having a bad day, I want to go up to them and make their day better. And almost every single day, I'll have a new patient come into the office crying before they even have seen my face because they're nervous or they've had a bad experience before as a child with another dentist or another doctor. And I take that as an opportunity to change their mindset about doctors or any medical environment. I'll go into the room and I'll be like, "Hi, I'm Dr. Toledo. I see that you're a little bit teary-eyed. Do I look that scary to you?" I mean, I know that I didn't put my moisturizer on today, but I'm not that scary, am I? And so I always build a relationship with the patient before I build a professional dental patient relationship with them. Because I think if you trust the person that you're going to, whether it be medical or even like a car, a car, see, a car place, a car. I'm not a car person, but a car. One of those places.
Like a
If you
dealership.
want to trust you want to trust the people who's doing your work, because if you trust them and you know their values and their morals, you can at least trust their judgment and their diagnosis. Um, there's some doctors out there who you just go to and you don't even know if they know your name. You don't even know if they know your case.
Yeah.
I want to develop that relationship with my patients so they're not scared to get work done. I never want to force anybody to get anything done medically, but I do want to let them have open eyes and an open heart when they come to my office.
Mm. Your perspective on human connection is so inspiring, and that's why I chose you as my dentist because you truly have mastered that skill of learning how to make your patients feel at ease and bring your wall down and not have so much fear, right? Now, how do you help patients overcome their fear of seeing you as their dentist?
So there's a few things actually. First, again, I think the biggest thing is building a personal relationship with the patient prior to building a professional relationship with the patient. And there's a good balance in that. A lot of the times I'll take off my white coat. Sometimes I'll be in the office all day long with no white coat, just so you don't get scared when you see a doctor coming down the hallway. Um, but honestly, I go through every step of any procedure that I do before I start it, because I feel like if I can explain what's going on, the fears and the questions are not going to be so big anymore.
Mm.
Also, it's your delivery. It's the way that you deliver the bad news, the bad diagnosis. And I have a way of injecting patients when I have to get them numb. Of course, everybody hates needles. Who likes needles?
Right.
But there's some people out here who just jam the needle in there. And I have a technique, you have to go very, very slow, get the patient a little bit numb and advance the needle just a little bit. But it's all about making the patient comfortable. It's
Right.
not just about the procedure. For me, of course, I want to give good quality work. But 75% of my interaction with the patient and 75% of the experience of the patient in the office, I want it to be with me
Hmm.
and who I am. And I want to get to know the patient, not just for them to know me.
I love that. Michael, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Where do I see myself in 5 years? Wow. 5 years seems like such a short time, but it's really a long time. You can learn so much.
Yes.
I hope to build my own practice. Right now, I am the only doctor in this office. However, I am an associate. And I want to build my own practice just because I want to have longer time slots with my patients. I also see myself hopefully falling in love, but with the right person. And if that doesn't happen, that's okay because I am confident with my own self and my own journey in this world. And I also see myself hopefully adopting a child. That's really
Mm,
big to say, but I really hope that I adopt a child in the next 5 years.
that is so beautiful. I love that. Michael, if you could go back in time, I know we just went 5 years ahead, but if we could go back in time, what advice would you give your younger self?
The advice I would give my younger self would be to do the things that you love. And just because you want to do it doesn't mean you should do it. You have to reflect on if what you love is conducive to your overall journey. Because sometimes we like to do bad things, and sometimes we like to party, and there's a time and a place for that. But do the things you love, but make sure you still have time for yourself. Make sure you have time to self-reflect. And the biggest thing I would say is to focus on your self-worth and your dignity. Because sometimes I would always be on the go. I would be a yes person. Yes, 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 I could do this. But it was at the expense of me.
Mm.
I love seeing people happy around me, but everything that I did wasn't because I loved it. It was for making other people happy as opposed to making myself happy.
Wow. When you think about your legacy, Michael, how do you hope to be remembered when you're no longer here?
I would like for people to remember me as the person that smiled and listened, and we would laugh at the end of every conversation, no matter how it started. I would like to be known as a person who you can go to with anything, whether it be, hey, I have a really, really tough situation with my family, or hey, I just want to share you the secret that I can't share to anybody else. And I want to
Mm.
be known as the person who put others first because in this world, it's such a selfish world. And even though we have to reflect and do what we love and respect ourselves, I want to be known as the person who gives back and who has made the world a better place in every situation that he's been in.
What an incredible message. Michael, your story truly exemplifies the power of love, connection, and authenticity. That was beautiful. Now, we are getting into my favorite part of the show, and that segment is the rapid fire questions. Michael, your journey is absolutely inspiring. I feel like we have learned so much about your life, your passions, and the values that drives you. But now let's switch gears for a bit and have some fun. We're diving into our rapid fire round, a series of quick questions where you will have to think fast and answer with the first thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
I am ready.
What's your go to karaoke song?
Oh, I will always love you or don't stop believing.
Coffee or tea?
Neither. Soda.
What's the one thing that you can't live without in your dental kit?
Ooh, floss.
If you could have dinner with any celebrity, living or dead, who would it be?
Easy. Walter Disney.
What's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you on stage?
Oh, fallen twice. Not once, but twice. But you got to make it into a dance move.
What's your favorite Filipino dish you would recommend to everyone?
Ooh, lumpia. It's like an egg roll.
What's your guilty pleasure TV show?
Mm, dance moms.
If you weren't a dentist, what career would you be in?
Wow. This is really rapid fire. Caught me off guard. Hairstylist.
I can see that. What's the first thing you would do to unwind after a long day?
Can I say alcohol? Just one or two shots though, and then TV.
If you could instantly master one skill, what would it be?
Ooh, the violin.
Michael, that was so much fun. You absolutely nailed it. The rapid fire round. I feel like we just unlocked a whole new side of you, from your dream karaoke song to your guilty pleasure. I think our listeners and viewers have even more reasons to adore you now, right? And let's be real, your answers were just as charming and thoughtful as you are. Michael, thank you for sharing your journey with us. Your words are a testament to the strength and beauty of embracing who we are. Before we wrap up, what's one piece of advice or wisdom you would like to leave with our listeners today?
We are all people, and we all want love, acceptance, and respect. And I think you don't command that. I think you have to give it and receive it equally. And you could take all that as you wish, but basically what I'm trying to say is treat others the way that you would like to be treated.
Thank you, Michael, for being on the show today.
Thank you so very much for having me. And I started this interview a little bit nervous, but I feel so free now. Very, very free. And I'm super happy that I'm able to be a part of this show, this podcast. And I respect everything you're doing. This is going to go far. You're going to go far, farther than you already are. Bye-bye now.
Bye. Wow. What an incredible conversation with Michael Toledo today. His journey, his passion, and his heart are truly inspiring. I hope you felt as empowered and uplifted as I did. Before we go, I want to hear from you. What part of Michael's story resonated with you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Send us a message or share your favorite moment from today's episode. And don't forget to show some love by liking, commenting, and sharing this episode with your friends, family, and anyone who could use a little extra inspiration in their day. Your support helps us to continue to grow and to amplify amazing stories like Michael's. Until next time, but remember, continue to be bold, continue to be you, be kind, and keep stepping out of the closet and into the world. I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, and share it with your friends and family. Don't forget to follow me on social media to stay updated and join this movement. I would love to hear your thoughts, so comment below. With gratitude, Ada.